taking the video? Alright, so the first step is to hose down from the top, open the lids and hose it down. This thing is connected right here with your drain valve, drain cap. They open up the drain cap and everything discharges from there, all solids. The next step is to connect this long hose with the tank and fill up the tank with certain amount of water. That's the manual step. Once that's filled in, they turn on this diaphragm pump and recirculate water. That's the rinse for this fixed piece of piping right there.
The pipes are equipped with spray balls. We are bypassing that for this section. It's just going to go straight to the supply on the top, so we're just rinsing the solids down, so we don't want to clog up the spray balls in this step. This is just on pre-rinse.
Okay, so once that step is done, they'll unhook these hoses and put the clamp back on. They'll repeat the same step for this tank. This tank has very similar arrangements, except they'll be putting the tote over here filled with the water. In that case, they are using the water from the tank. Here they are using the tote that's full of water. Diaphragm pump pushes the water to the tank, coming out back to this drain cap, and this hose gets connected back to that drain cap. So these two separate pipelines that's supplying the tomatoes to the tomato tank gets rinsed out using this manual step. After that, we have the automated step from the computer PLC program that runs the CIP program. It starts out with the cut tank, adding the water to the cut tank and the dice tank. It adds about 3,000 pounds or 500 gallons of water into each one of the tank. Cut tank, when it's filling up the water, it also runs a recirculation loop using the CIP pump, bypassing the product pump. It still runs the product pump, but it runs at very slow speed. The CIP pump takes care of most of the loading or most of the supply, and it goes to this recirc loop back on top of the tank, and it cleans this recirc pipe during that time. It rinses out this one piece of pipe. That is a recirc around the cut tank. None of the other tanks have a recirc loop around it, so that does not need to be cleaned. Once both of the tanks are about 3,000 pounds, cut tank starts supplying using this pipe, but it goes to the right and it supplies the slurry tank. The dice tank goes right to the kitchen. Slurry tank, when it has some level, it also goes to the kitchen. So most of the pipe, or all of the pipe that are in the supply chain supplying to the kitchen gets covered at this point in the tomato area. And all these tanks supply one by one each one of the cattle in the kitchen, and as they go through each cattle in the kitchen, we can look at this screen here.
Let's show them on this drawing.
As it's supplying this rinse water through this supply line, it cleans out each one of the valve and it cleans out each one of the drops. So basically, that's the logic for the tomato rinse, tomato area rinse.